Hey, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you doing, man? Did you manage to get in time?
Yeah. Uh sorry it was I had to push it. My job kind of screwed me over.
It's okay. That's what jobs do, I guess.
Fair
They
enough.
screw you. All right. Thanks for joining, man. It's a pleasure having you here.
Oh yeah, no, I'm really stoked to be a part of it. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, I'll ask you to introduce yourself and talk a bit about Dr. Nez to the people in the Doom community that will take a listen to this interview.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So I'm Dr. Nez. I'm a one-man project right now making I guess desert rock. So some of it is stonery, some of it's doomy, and some of it goes more on the alternative side. But so generally, desert rock artist. Doing it all myself. I just released my second EP in November. It's called High Desert Lows. I released my first EP in February of this same year, 2024. It was called Scary Faces. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. You have recently put out your EP, High Desert Lows. I want to tell me a bit about how I was writing and recording this material.
Um, So surprisingly enough, the writing and recording, I think it went by kind of fast in a way because my first EP was kind of a little collection of stuff that probably I wrote over the course of a few years, and you can kind of tell because every song is a little bit of a different style. But High Desert Lows is a lot more of a project that was designed from the get go, all to wind up going together. um, all in all, I recorded the entire thing myself in my basement, and it was about a 6 month project to get the whole thing. Yeah, so High Desert Lows, I probably started recording that thing in uh I started writing it in like really late 2023, and that's while I was still living in California. So I started actually recording it myself whenever I moved to Colorado. And yeah, it took about maybe 6 months, 5 or 6 months to record the whole thing and get it out. Learned a lot of lessons while I was working on that thing, not just with production, but also with promotion and things like that, where I probably could have given it a little bit more time before release to try to like pump it up a little bit. But I'm really happy with how the record turned out.
Did you record and produce that all by yourself?
Yeah, I did it all by myself in my basement. So the guitar, bass, and vocals are all completely me. And then the drums, this is a completely unsound treated basement. So the drums I had to use samples and stuff. But yeah, I wrote, played, and recorded all the parts
That means that was the hardest part to record.
for sure.
Right. I've been listening a lot to your last single, Mark the Grave. It's a very, very interesting song. The lyrics are very deep as well. And the video, super funny. Could you talk about the meaning behind it and also about how I was producing that video?
Sure. First of all, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Uh, Mark the Grave, I think that was like the first or second song that I wrote for the record. And that one was just basically I had kind of found myself in a spot where I was just feeling like I was just getting over a feeling of kind of, what's the point? Why do I even try anymore? It was definitely a low spot. So it was an easy song to write. I think I wrote all of the lyrics in one day, and it's just about that general feeling of when you just kind of like lose all your motivation and you lose all your spirit, and you're just kind of, I mean, you're alive, but you're not really doing anything with it. You kind of feel like you just exist. So
Yeah.
that's where the lyrics came from. Luckily, I was on the tail end of that when I wrote it, so feeling a lot better now. I think getting all of the lyrics out on paper and eventually recording them probably helped me put that feeling behind me, at least for the time being. As for the video, I don't really know what caused me to decide to do the ghost character, but I'm absolutely in love with the concept as a mascot at this point. So, uh, came up with the idea for the ghost, and I was just like, man, this is just the perfect like faceless self-insert kind of character that I can just put anywhere. So actually, if you watch the video, that's my wife in the ghost costume.
Oh, that
And
was you.
no, that's my wife in the ghost costume. And I filmed the whole thing. So I'm behind the camera for that whole thing. And we just went on like a little mini road trip about like 3 hours away from our house and found this spot that had like the sand dunes and the long straight road and the mountains in the background and everything. And I was just like, this is perfect. This is the spot to do it. So
Colorado is a beautiful place. I have a close friend that lives in Colorado.
yeah, no, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's super cold right now, but it is beautiful. But yeah, we came up with this idea to have the ghost like hitchhiking, trying to catch a ride because they're trying to find their body and see if they can like get crawl back inside of it.
The last scene in I think it's a park for kids. That's super funny.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about it, about somebody getting upset about that, but luckily that's not a park that people go to very often. So we knew that like there wouldn't be any kids around whenever we filmed it, and luckily that was the case.
Yeah. All right. Another great track from the EP is the one called In the Shadow of a Mountain. It's very, very beautiful lyrics. Could you talk a bit about this one too?
Absolutely, yeah. I haven't had a lot of people ask me about that song, so I appreciate a chance to talk about it a little bit. So that song, I probably started writing it around like maybe February or so of 2024. And it was a couple months after I got here to Colorado. And I noticed that where I was living with the mountains right there, the sunset starts like the sun disappears by 4, so it's basically dusk at like 3 p.m. because the mountains are so high that the sun gets behind it in the winter really early.
Else.
And yeah, I just that kind of got my imagination going, and I was just picturing like somebody that was going through everything that happens in the High Desert Lows EP, and eventually they make it all the way out here. And what I like it here, but I could really imagine somebody if they were already like in a really really low place, that being in an environment where it gets dark and cold so early, like that could probably cause its own kind of despair.
It's been raining here for 2 fucking weeks. No sun. So I definitely feel what you get.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people around where you're at that if it's been raining that much and it's gloomy for that long, it just it does a number on people. Like it just does something to them, and that's kind of where I put my mind for In the Shadow of a Mountain.
Cool. All right. What's next now for Dr. Nez? You're planning on releasing more material? Any concerts scheduled for next year? I mean, you need to have a full band to do that first.
Yeah, I definitely need to get a full band together, and I'm working on that right now because I'm really really hoping to do some shows in 2025. So if anybody's listening who's in Colorado, it is currently December of 2024, and yeah, if you're listening, I'm looking for musicians to play some shows with me. So if you dig the tunes, definitely get a hold of me. So we're hoping to do live shows in 2025, and the goal is to put out probably the goal is 5 to 6 songs a year. So I'm already writing the next EP, and I've started recording some demos for it already. So I think generally the rhythm that I'm going to try to keep is by the time I have an EP or an album release, I'm already going to be working on the next one. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping for some live stuff as well. That's my main focus right now, is trying to get on a stage.
Awesome. And your voice reminds me of Paul Stanley as well, especially Mark the Grave. Reminds a lot of Paul Stanley.
Hey, you know what? anytime somebody tells me that my voice reminds them of somebody that they like, I will take it like every time. I've had a few people tell me Ozzy Osbourne. I've had a lot of people also tell me that I don't quite sound like anybody, but I don't know. Depending on the song, I feel like Mark the Grave. I wound up doing an Ozzy thing, and I didn't even mean to. And then there's sections of High Desert Lows, like in the second verse when I'm saying like no hope, no inspiration. That little section weirdly kind of sounds a little bit Iron Maiden-y to some people. So I don't really know. Maybe eventually I'll sound the same on every song, but for now it's doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. All right. Kenny, that was a pleasure having you here. Thanks a lot for joining me in this episode. Would you like to send a last message to people on Mr. Doom community that will be listening to this interview?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just really appreciate anybody who listened. And if you guys enjoy the music, then just stay tuned because, like I said, I'm gonna have new stuff coming out every year, and I'm hoping to have some shows coming up in the it within the next year as well. So, thanks so much for tuning in, and Eduardo, I really appreciate you having me on the show. I hope to do it again sometime after I've done some live gigs and we have more to talk about.
Yeah, the doors are always open. Thanks, man. Thanks
Awesome,
a lot for joining me.
right on. Thank you.